What is up, guys? Welcome back to another DBZarn YouTube video, and today we're going to be talking about probably the most prevalent thing that's happening in the Dragon Ball community today, and that is Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 4. So I kind of just wanted to take a moment to kind of lay out for the newer people who didn't get a chance to actually play Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 what we can expect from the character roster. So obviously the character roster was pretty extensive. That's one of the things that are most talked about when it comes to Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3. Like, they had people like Frieza Soldiers, Pui Pui, Kui, Orali, Android 8, Young Chi-Chi, General Tao, Grandpa Gohan, like characters like that they're like, you don't like when you think of Dragon Ball in a Dragon Ball game, you're not gonna log on and be like, oh yeah, I'm about to play as like Android 8. Like, nah, not a lot of people are like that. So this character roster is one of the most iconic things about this Dragon Ball game, right? And so with the new Dragon Ball game, Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 4 coming out, or as it's been leaked, Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi 0, which isn't like a name that will probably stick, but that's what it's dubbed as right now, or that's what it's been found by data miners listed as, is Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 0. So what we're gonna do is I kind of want to try and mitigate expectations and kind of like set the bar for what to expect with all of the arcs that have happened between the last Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi roster and what's happened in the anime and manga up until this point, right? So one of the first things that I want to talk about is that I think it's a totally viable thing for them to add manga characters into this character roster. Like, for example, they were able to come up with entire movesets for characters like Babidi, for characters that didn't have a lot of screen time like Bardock. Back then, let's see, who else didn't have a lot of screen time back then? I mean, Videl had an entire moveset and stuff. We didn't even see a lot of Mecha Frieza before he got destroyed. He had an entire moveset. Cell Jr. had an entire moveset. Spopovich had an entire moveset. Like, these characters that didn't have necessarily the content within the show to be able to hold entire character slots were given that opportunity by them being creative with their characters and giving them more powers, and kind of just, I don't want to call it a shot in the dark, but they kind of did that. They're like, well, if they did have special move, this is probably what they would use, and then they applied it to that character, and it all fit. So I mean, that was pretty creative of them, and I'm hoping that they'll take that and it'll carry on into Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 4. If it does, I think that generally the character roster will be pretty well received. I think what a lot of people are worried about is like the extensive amount of characters that are the same. I wouldn't even worry about that. I think that generally they handle the character roster for these games pretty well, right? Even I think the worst one is probably Xenoverse with all the different iterations of Goku and Vegeta, but even still, that's always kind of been a thing. Actually, no, I take that back. The worst one was Dragon Ball Z Battle of Z. That one for sure handled character roster the worst way, because each individual transformation was a different character, and I don't think you could transform from base to Super Saiyan to Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3. I think all of that was hidden behind being a separate character. If I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, by the way. So anyway, I think that you can expect them to handle the character roster in pretty much the same way, barring one thing. What bothers me, or what is concerning me, is whether or not this game is going to be considered a remake, like slash reboot, or like a continuation of the original franchise. Because you know how video games companies do when they decide that they're going to reboot an entire game series or a franchise, generally they change a lot of things, and I don't think that's entirely necessary for Budokai Tenkaichi 3. While I think that there needs to be something fresh within the game, I think generally the formula needs to stay the same. Maybe add a little bit more in-depth like combos and stuff like that, but other than that, I think generally the playstyle of Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 would still hold up today. As a matter of fact, I know it would. There's still people that make like YouTube videos and stuff on that game till this day. So I think by them handling it in that way and trying to stick as close to the source content as possible without making the same game over again, I think that's the formula for a successful game. Now, obviously, it's easier said than done, and I'm not a part of the design company or the dev crew, so I can't really speak on how doable it is. But that's what needs to happen for this game to be ultra successful the way all of us want it to be. There's already a massive hype train behind the game, and if they fall short of expectations, it's going to get massive hate, and that's just the way the internet is today, and I get it, but that's gonna suck, right? Like, it's gonna suck if the game, like, if everybody is just pooping on it because, you know, they don't think that one thing or the other is the way that it should be, right? Anyway, so moving on, I kind of want to get into what characters we can expect to see, so we can kind of get a gauge on how many characters we want to see, barring that the game isn't heavily DLC reliant, which I'm gonna make a separate video on that about why that would destroy the game. But let's move on. So obviously the first arc that was post Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 came out about, what was it, like, I don't remember how long ago it came out. Battle of Gods arc. So obviously we should see characters like Beerus, Super Saiyan God Goku, all of the different variations of the Z fighters from post Buu arc. So Gohan, Tien, Yamcha, Trunks, Goten, Piccolo, like those characters, they will probably all have post DBZ variations. Now, whether or not that's going to start at the Battle of Gods arc and go throughout the other arcs, or they're going to have separate characters for each arc, I'm not entirely sure. Like I said, they've handled character slots with Dragon Ball Z games pretty weird in the past, I don't know, past 5 or 6 games that have come out. And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to expect when it comes to that. I'm not going to act like I know what's going on with that. We'll just have to wait and see, right? But I could also see them adding somebody probably like Whis in there. Maybe I could see Whis getting a character slot just because it's Whis. And like I said, if they're handling the characters the way in any way, shape, form, or fashion similar to this, then characters like Whis are people that you should expect to see on the character roster, right? Anyway, moving on to the next arc, obviously was Revival of F. So we should expect to see like green tracksuit Gohan, Piccolo. For this one, I would expect a new base, a new base Frieza, and then Frieza that like that Frieza transforms into Golden Frieza. That's what I would expect. Or maybe not. It might not even be base. I would even be able to see them doing like a first form Frieza that's in like ship of some kind or something, because I think they did that in the Budokai Tenkaichi 3 game where the first form Frieza could be in a ship. I don't know. Maybe. I think there was one game or another where it was like that. Or like maybe there's a first form Frieza that transforms into a final form Frieza and then transforms into a Golden Frieza. I don't think they would include all of, you know, first form, second form, third form, like all of that. I think it'll be a base to final to Golden Frieza. Obviously we'll have the new Tien Shinhan and we'll have the new Piccolo. And then I think that they, like, my prediction for this is that they will incorporate a new base Goku and base Vegeta that are in Whis' gi that'll go probably through the Universe 6 arc. So here, let's look at that. So when they show up, they're kind of, this is how they look. So I think that Goku that's from this arc will go from here all the way to here, all the way up to right before when Goku gets his old clothes back, before he goes back into the past in the Future Trunks arc, or into the future in the Future Trunks arc. So I think that Goku will include base Goku, probably Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3. I don't know if they'll add all of that into this Goku. I could see them doing it because he did go Super Saiyan in this form. I don't know if they would include 2 or 3. That's pretty up in the air. I guess we'll just have to see on that. But I could expect them to have all of those characters in there. Then we got obviously the Piccolo from this arc, the Vegeta. We have that Majin Buu. Monaka is somebody that I could obviously see in there. Botamo. We got Kaba, Frost, Hit, Mangetta. Like all of these characters, I could see them being in there. I feel like also Champa probably. I could see Champa being in there, maybe Vados as well. These 2 characters are even playable in Xenoverse, so I don't see why they wouldn't include them in there. And then I feel like Frost would have transformations similar to the way that he did in that Universe 6 arc. I think that's a huge possibility. But anyway, moving on to the Goku Black arc. So one of my biggest concerns with this, or one of my biggest questions actually, I wouldn't say it's a concern, is whether or not the manga material is going to be used at all for these characters and for their forms within these actual arcs. Because in the manga, Vegeta used Super Saiyan God against Goku Black, while in the anime he didn't. So is there going to be a variation of Vegeta where he uses Super Saiyan God, or will that base Vegeta from the Goku Black arc, will it include Super Saiyan God? I don't know. I think that's pretty up in the air as far as how they're going to handle the manga side of things. But obviously we can expect people like Goku Black, obviously Goku from that arc, Zamasu, Future Trunks with all of his transformations from that arc. Vegito Blue is going to be a big one. I could see them adding Mai, but I'm not 100% convinced that she'll be in it. Like I said, if they're handling it in any way similar to this, then obviously she'll probably be in it. If not, then I guess not. So we'll have that going for it. And then moving on, so this right here, the TLP arc, Tournament of Power, this is going to be the biggest character contribution inside of the game, right? Because I mean, this entire row of characters, if they decide to in fact add all of these characters individually, then it'll be a massive amount of characters getting added. But even if they just added the relevant ones, right? So even if they just added like Ribrianne and her two sisters, and they didn't add any of these people, and then they just added like, I don't know, even half of these guys, like it's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of different characters and models and designs. And one thing that I'm hoping is that all of these like packs and characters and stuff are not going to be barred behind DLC. Hopefully not, but I think a majority of the characters from this list are going to make it into the game. That's my prediction for it at least. And then moving forward from that, obviously Dragon Ball Super Broly is going to have to be included. Broly's one of the most the new Broly is one of the most popular characters in the franchise right now. From that, obviously we get like obviously we get Gogeta. We get the new Super Saiyan God Goku and Vegeta. We get the new Super Saiyan Blue Goku and Vegeta. Maybe Chilai and Limbo, I could see them being in there. The Frieza from that movie, I could see him being in there. Maybe Paragus. Like I said, again, if they're going back to the same formula and it's at all similar to Budokai Tenkaichi 3, then I could see Paragus being a playable character. Probably not Bulma. Let's see. No, I think that's probably it for the Broly movie. Bardock, I could see Bardock being in there. Maybe young Vegeta, Raditz, and Broly, they could possibly be in there. I could really see that actually. Anyway, also another thing worth mentioning, I'm not entirely sold on whether or not the Grand Priest is going to be included in it. I feel like he could. Maybe. I don't know. I think that's a big maybe. And then obviously moving forward, we're going into Dragon Ball Super Superhero, which is most recent. I think that this is going to be included. There's no reason, if it's already in development now, there's no reason for it to not include this, right? So obviously we'd see characters like Young Pan, we'd see Gamma 1, Gamma 2, Ultimate Piccolo, Potential Unleashed Piccolo, the new Gohan, who I don't know if he'll have more than one variation. Probably not. I would assume that it wouldn't. Fat Gotenks, maybe. I might be able to see that. The Goku and Vegeta from this game, which will probably just have like a base form or something like that. I don't know. I don't know if Dr. Hito would be in it. Cell Max, I could see that. For all the people that haven't played any of the like Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 games, one of the biggest things was that bigger characters are included in the character roster. So you can play as like Great Apes, you can play as Hirudegan, you can play as Janemba, like all these huge characters that like take up a bunch of space are still playable within the arena. So I wouldn't put it past them to add characters like Cell Max into this and like Giant Orange Piccolo. I would definitely expect those to be a part of it, right? And then moving on, so this is where my biggest skepticism comes across at, is whether or not the manga is going to be incorporated. And like I said, like they could obviously make up pretty convincing like character slots for them. They could obviously give them like combos and different moves and stuff based off of the manga. So I wouldn't put it past them to add like Perfect UI Goku and Angel Moro and maybe what's the angel's name? I forgot the angel that trained him. Man, it's been a while since I've read the Moro arc. But even going into the Granola arc, I think that we could obviously also see the characters from the Granola arc added. most recently there was like Black Frieza and stuff, and I think if that arc picks back up, I don't know when it's gonna pick back up, but I think if that picks back up and probably finishes before they get too far in development, I could see them adding a character like Black Frieza. I know we all really want to see Ultra Ego Vegeta added into this game. We really want to see True UI Goku. So those characters, I mean, obviously, I would love to have these characters added into the game. Yeah, obviously, a lot of it's kind of up in the air. It's all speculation, guys. But I think there's a lot to be excited for this game. Obviously, the character roster is going to be insane. Given that, you know, they don't they don't hide all of the characters behind a paywall like I'm scared they'll do. I think everything will be good. Like this is going to be a great game. I think there's a lot of good things to look forward to. But yeah, I appreciate you guys for stopping by. I'm going to be uploading a lot more. I've got a lot more time on my hands now, so I appreciate you guys. If you guys want to leave a like and comment, and if you're new, please subscribe, guys, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.